everybody. We so need shirts. Okay, I'll get on it. I will get on it. I am seeing the demand. But yes, again, I cannot do the raspberries, so you get fake raspberries. I can make a raspberry sound. I can go, and then we can pretend that I blew the radar.
Roses from Val, and you also have a hot name from Renee and Rick.
Thank you, Val, and welcome in. Hello. And who?
Renee and Rick sent you
From Renee and Rick. Thank you, Renee and Rick. Why can't I see that?
It'll be on TikTok on the screen.
Well, Val's showed up.
Yeah, the Renee and Rick one came in before I put the scene up, so it didn't. So it was on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
I can give Maddie his raspberries.
Okay. Castle's gonna give Maddie your. I always look so little compared to you.
Yeah.
Sad.
But to be fair, you are little compared to me.
I know I'm little, but like still, it's funny. You're teasing. Okay. Well, we're gonna do a recap because I know we've missed some weekends and then we had to cut short last week and it's just kind of.
There's Renee and Rick. They just popped in and said.
They just popped up. Okay, thank you. So the ladies are at Shidoof in Son of Shadows, which is Eamon's place, and Ashling's, which is his sister. And the men are away for a political meeting. So it's just the girls right now. And we've learned that her lead-in sister, Neve, has been subjected to some pretty strong abuse, which I did not go into detail with on some of those parts because, you know, I don't want to be too much on the internet. So anyway, bad things are happening to her in her new marriage. And Leodin's also feeling stir crazy because the Shidoof is in a marsh. So they're kind of just stuck in this stone fortress. And I can see if I can lower it a little too. So they're stuck in this fortress and they can't go anywhere. And she's used to being in the forest and kind of being able to have her freedom and do as she likes. And she's missing that. So she's been wandering around looking for secret spaces. And she came across the dungeon. It's not in use. It looks like it's not been in use for a long time. So that's good. However, she was able to see that there was a hole of some kind because a cat came through there. So she's thinking, okay, well, maybe there's a way out of here. Not like she really needs to escape, but she's, again, like I said, she's feeling stir crazy. So, very good, Maddie. Very good. Okay. So.
Okay, I made it so you're not as little.
You made it so I'm not as little. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it still showing dark?
No, you're lighter on. You look pretty bright on everything for me.
Okay. Alrighty then. I will trust you.
I should hope so.
So I'm gonna tell you where we left off last time. So she had asked Aisling about people coming in and out. Not as little, I'm tiny too. Yeah. We have to adjust the camera every time we switch the person on camera. Because Castle is much larger, obviously. So whenever he was streaming and I get on, my camera's all little and tiny. So she was asking Aisling about going in and out, and Aisling's like, well, we do have people that do come in and out, you know, for supplies and the like. And then Leodin kind of snarkily asked, but you have to check all the wagons, right? And Aisling was like, well, yeah, don't you do that? And she's like, well, no, not if we know the people. So it's a different way of running things. So I'm thinking Leodin's realizing she does not like it there. So that's where we're at.
Fernando says hello.
Hello, Fernando. Where are you? What?
Facebook.
Oh, hello, Fernando. I always get
Bethany says, what led up to them going to that place?
What led to them going to that place? So, because the men are going to a political meeting, they've decided to send the ladies, which, Aisling has to go back to Shidov so she can run things instead of her older brother, Aemon, because he is away. So they decided that the other ladies, Leodin and Neve, would be going along. And Leodin's brother, Sean, accompanied them there, and then he's left. And we did also learn that instead of going straight to where the other men are having their meeting, he's going to seek out the Painted Man to see if he could pay him to do something for him. And she's kind of like, oh no, he's not going to do that. And he's like, well, why would you know that? So he still doesn't know what happened while she was missing. And we know that she is pregnant, so she's not showing enough that her sister has noticed, and no one has told her sister, so Neve is not aware of Leodin's pregnancy yet. You missed the recap? It's okay, come in. Hello, Tunisia. Welcome in. So that's where we are. She's talking to Aisling about, in a roundabout way, saying she's stir crazy. Your cell's being naughty? Uh-oh. Alright, so we will jump in. We are in the middle of chapter 9. Alrighty. I asked Aisling already as politely as I could, and received the answer I expected. Don't you ever go out, I'd said. Doesn't it drive you crazy being shut up all the time? Aisling raised her brows at me. People do go out, she said, puzzled. It's not a prison. Carts bring supplies and the men ride across on patrol. There's more movement when Aemon's at home. And I suppose every cart is searched from top to bottom going in and out, I said dryly. Well, yes. Don't you do that at Seven Waters? Not if it's our own people. Aemon says it's wiser. You can't be too careful these days. And he did say... She paused. What? I asked, looking her in the eye. She reached up to smooth her red curls behind her ear, looking slightly abashed. Well, Leodin, if you must know. He said he preferred if you and Neve did not go out while you're here. There's no reason for you to venture beyond the walls. We have everything here you could possibly want. I did not like the thought of Aemon making rules for me, especially now that there was no possible chance of marriage between us. Perhaps after what had happened to me, he believed me incapable of staying out of trouble. Don't take me wrong, Aisling, I said. Your hospitality is not to be faulted. But I miss Seven Waters. I miss the forest and the openness. I don't know how you and Aemon can live here. It's home, she said simply. And I remembered Aemon saying once, it will not be a home until I see you standing in the doorway with my child in your arms. I shivered. The goddess grant there would be a chieftain at Tara with marriageable daughters, and that Aemon would make his intentions known to them. There should be many a girl with no reluctance to warm his bed and give him an heir, once he put word about what he was looking. What's the matter?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Both of the monitors are wobbling. Can you see the white one wobbling?
No.
I think I'm gonna need to remount this bracket. It's fine for the moment, but
Okay.
I think I need to remount the dual monitor bracket.
Okie.
Because it keeps slipping. I think I need new adhesive
Hello, Bear.
on it. So Val says she likes them in the background.
Oh, well, thank you, Val. I'm glad you like it.
I'm gonna run up around the corner to get
Get what?
adhesive for the bracket, so that when you're done on stream we can fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be back in a little bit. Give me. Sorry.
Can't reach you over there.
Everyone behave with the lady while I'm away, and barkeeps, make sure she stays safe, please.
I might get into trouble. Thank you very much, Aaron. I didn't see the notification pop up though, but maybe it's waiting. How you doing?
I moved it too high.
Hello again, Milu, on your other account. Oh, there it is. And it's, yeah, way off screen. What did you do?
I moved the wrong notification box. That was my fault.
You're exhausted. Long day at work.
7 whole months Aaron's been here. That's insane.
Bear says he's watching him.
Thank you, Bear. I appreciate you. Oh, I'll be back.
You're over it right now? That's fine. I get it, I get it. Oh, hail the chair. Yeah, I know. Maddie. Alright. The chair. You guys. We will continue. Many days had passed, and the mood had shrunk to a mere sliver of light. When I got home, I would have to apply myself to sewing, for my gowns were getting uncomfortably tight over my breasts. I sat with Neve day by day, and she failed to notice any change in my appearance. I could not tell her. How could I find the words when she held in her poor, confused mind the guilt of not having conceived a child for Fian after 3 moons, of not succeeding even in that most basic requirement of a good wife? I said to her it was early days, and not every bride bred straight away. Besides, now that she would not be going back to Tyrconnell after all, surely it was better that she was not carrying Fian's son or daughter. Hey, Frost, and welcome in. I wanted to bear Kiarn a child, she said softly. More than anything. But the goddess did not grant it. Just as well, I retorted, finding it hard not to lose my temper with her. That would really have set a stir among the O'Neill. Don't joke about it, Leighton. You cannot hope to understand how it feels to love a man more than anything in the world, more than life itself. How wonderful it would be to carry that man's child within your body, even if the man himself is lost to you. She began to cry very quietly. How could you know of such things? How indeed, I muttered, passing her a clean handkerchief. Eden, she asked after a while. You keep saying, I need not go back to Fian. I need not go back to Tyrconnell, but where am I going? I don't know yet, but I'll work something out, I promise. Just trust me. Yes, Eden. She spoke with a meager acquiescence that terrified me. For time was running out for us. The men would not stay in the south too long, with winter approaching and their own lands to attend to. By the time the moon was half full again, they would be here, and in truth I had very little by way of a plan. Neve could not simply come home, not without explanation. So she must go somewhere else, somewhere she could be taken before Fian returned. She must be kept in hiding, for a while at least. Later, perhaps, the truth might be told, and she could come back to Seven Waters. A Christian convent would be the best place, perhaps in the southwest, somewhere away from the coast and safe from the Norsemen's raids, a place where they did not know the name of Seven Waters. There was no place where they did not know of the name O'Neill, but maybe that part could be kept quiet. If someone could just provide sanctuary for a while, if Fian could somehow be convinced that she was gone forever, if... I lost patience with myself quickly, knowing I was getting nowhere, realizing if I did not come up with a practical plan very soon, we would run out of time. It was becoming obvious I could not do this alone. Hello, Furious Viking, just passing by. Well, thank you for coming in to say hello. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. A promise was a promise, and could not be broken. I thought Neve was wrong. How could the alliance be more important to Liam or Connor or my father than Neve's happiness? Surely her bruised body and shadowed eyes were too high a price to pay for the future support of the O'Neill, for all their wealth and their great band of fighting men. But I had given her my word. Besides, there was more to it than the alliance. There was a secret they were all keeping from us. There was something bigger behind this that we did not understand. Something so terrible it seemed to me I must act with the greatest caution, lest I bring alive the evil they spoke of with hushed voices and haunted eyes. Now you froze? The bitrate is fine. Everything's looking stable. Okay, back to you? Okay, good. One thing was clear to me. I had to get Neve out before the men returned, and there was nobody in the household whose help I could enlist. They were all Eamon's men and women and ashlings, and no secret would be kept from their young master and mistress. Besides, wasn't every cart searched? I thought about disguises and abandoned the idea, knowing the close watch on all traffic in and out meant we would be immediately detected. My mind whirled with plans, each more unlikely than the last. It was a blip, okay. When it was dark of the moon, I could not light my special candle, for it still stood in my chamber at Seven Waters. But after Neve was sleeping, I lit another and placed it near the window, and I sat by it through the time of darkness. And now as I drew Bran's image into my mind, he was no longer sitting under strange trees, but pacing restlessly to and fro in a more familiar setting. A lantern casting shadows on the cunningly constructed walls, the arched roof and ancient ritual stone of the great barrow that had sheltered us, not so long ago, it seemed. There were others there with him, and they were disputing something, and he was impatient. I felt his sense of urgency, the anxiety that drew a frown between his dark brows, the tension in his hands, but I could not hear their words. I did what I always did on those dark nights, when I knew he tried above all things to remain awake. I reached out to touch his mind with my own, to let him know he would never be quite alone, not now. To remind him that even for an outlaw with no past and no future, each day could be lived well. But tonight my own dark thoughts intervened. My concern for my sister, my growing panic at not having a solution for my problem, with time so short. These things got in the way, and I could not tell if I did him any good or not. I stayed awake all night. That much I could do for him. It was not possible to see his image at the time in my thoughts, but it came to me now and then, striding out of the barrow, leaving his friends behind, standing in the darkness there, staring down at his tightly linked hands. Later, sitting cross-legged not far from where we were, and where we had made our little fire with pine cones when Evan was dying. And I had told him his last story. Sitting with his shaven head in his hands and the smallest of lanterns to keep away the darkness. "I'm here," I told him. "I'm not so far away. Just wait a little longer and dawn will come." But I had to work very hard to silence that other voice within me, the one that was clamoring, "Help, I need you." Nobody could help me here at Shidouv. There seemed no way out, unless you were a cat, maybe. Oh, very cool, Milu. Good job. Congratulations. It was worth a try, I told myself as I slipped quietly down the covered way, just after dawn next morning. The skills I had learned in the forest of Seven Waters served me well. I thought I passed by the guards unseen. I needed the lantern, for the side tunnel was narrow and the floor an uneven jumble of broken rocks. I went past the empty cells, feeling again the cold breath of fear that lingered in the shadowy corners. I ventured farther down, and the track became narrower and steeper, and water trickled down the walls so that I was walking in a streamlet. And then, abruptly, the water went gurgling away underground. And the passage seemed to end. There was an unbroken wall ahead of me, though light still filtered in from somewhere. A dead end. But the cat had got in. I set the lantern down and moved forward, touching my fingertips to the wall. My shadow loomed in front of me, huge in the lantern light, and I heard them, familiar voices, quiet, deep, so deep they were almost below hearing. Words spoken with a slowness that seemed ancient, as if it came from the very stones themselves. They were not, after all, fled with the coming of man. They had merely gone deeper underground, biding their time. I stood still, listening, awaiting their bidding. Yep, puppy is in the room now. I squatted on the ground, wondering what to look for, what to feel for. A trapdoor, a secret way, some sort of sign. Down. Think, Leodin, I told myself, shivering. I moved along the rock floor, following the base of the wall with my hand, feeling for any sign, any clue as to what I must do. Good, good. My hand touched something. A metal object that was wedged under a protruding stone. My fingers curled around it. It was a key, large, heavy, ornately wrought. I rose to my feet. The lantern light showed me the same unbroken stretch of rock wall before me, the same featureless walls on either side. There was no sign whatever of a door. I lifted the lantern high, low, examining every surface there was. I could not find the smallest sign of an opening, no crack or crevice into which this key might be fitted. My heart sank. Go back, said the voices. Back. What were they telling me, I wondered, grimly as I made my reluctant way out of the underground passage and into the house again. That I must stay at Shidouv and let things take their course. That had been their advice at the place at the Great Barrow, and look where it had got me. Ancestors or no ancestors, I began to wonder if they knew what they were doing. The fair folk had told me not to heed these old voices, that they could be dangerous. Still, the old ones had given me a key. A key was at least a start. Oh no, sad. Here's the doggo, and I was like, oh, I must find my friend. What were they telling me? Oh, just kidding. That evening, Aisling told me, very politely, that it might be better if I did not go down into those underground parts of the fortress anymore. My master-at-arms is concerned about your safety, she said rather formally. I could see she was embarrassed at having to set out rules for a friend. Things had been easy between us at Seven Waters. Indeed, sometimes we had seemed more like sisters than Eve and I were. But here she was mistress of the house, and I sensed there was little point in argument. It shocked me that she had learned of my explorations. I had been so careful. I do find it difficult to be so cooped up, I said. Still, those old passages and chambers are not safe, Aisling replied firmly. I know Eamon would not wish you to be at risk. Please don't go down there again. This was an order, kindly expressed, and I knew I must accept it. My options appeared to be rapidly dwindling as time passed. It was drawing ever closer to the day when Eamon and Fian must return from Tara, and I had not even a shred of a practical plan. Indeed, I was beginning to doubt very much that I could keep my promise to Neve. Of course, we've got ads. News. But I was her sister. I could not let her return to Tyrconnell and to a husband who valued her so little. I had seen the look in her eyes. I knew she meant it when she said she would kill herself rather than go on. I must get her out before they returned. Somehow I must find a way. I did not know in the end if the solution was one I discovered for myself, or if the old ones nudged me in the right direction. Perhaps we thought alike, being of the same line. It was early morning, just after dawn, and Neve was sleeping, curled tight under her woolen blankets, her cropped hair bright on the pillow. My nights had been increasingly restless. I lay awake pondering solutions, all of them equally impractical. I lay open-eyed, considering the risks of telling the truth to Sean, or to my father, or to Connor, and deciding I could not do so. Hello, Esser, welcome in. I did not see it, Esther, but welcome into the stream. You're not glitching over there, Val? Okay, good. Good to know. Well, last time when everything died, TikTok stayed up, but everything else was gone. It's very strange. I did not know in the end if the solution was one I discovered. Oh, yeah. Nope, I'm further along in this paragraph. My father had taught me that a promise must never be broken. Besides, I could not be sure of what they would do. There was just a possibility they might believe the alliance more important than Neve. I could not risk telling and finding Fionn's strategic worth outweighed his disregard for my sister, so I must find my own solution, but there was no way out. What did the old ones expect me to do? Fly? At dawn, I rose and dressed, selecting one of my looser-cut gowns, and wondering how big my belly would have to grow before Neve noticed the change in my appearance. The immortal TikTok, yeah. Our clothes had been stored in an ancient wooden chest that was set in an alcove to the room we shared, a recess over which a tapestry hung to reduce the draught. I rummaged in the chest for a shawl, since the morning was cool, and I stood up to wrap it around me. I felt momentarily faint. I put out my hand against the timber-lined wall of the alcove to steady myself. My fingers touched something. There was a marking on the wall, a tiny crack on the surface of the wood. It was too dark to see what it was. I fetched a candle and peered more closely. A tapestry for the draught, I thought. Where there is a draught, there must be an opening. My hand followed the crack all the way around, a square the size of a small man or woman bending. A door. It was covered all around its margins with tiny carven marks, Owen signs like the one my Uncle Finbar wore around his neck on an amulet. But Eamon's ancestor was surely no druid. Were these secret signs of protection made at his bidding? Or had they been crafted by an older kind, those who had dwelt in the place of the fairy fortress long before the human folk came to set their hand upon it and claim ownership of what could never rightly be theirs? The deep places belonged to the old ones. No upstart chieftain with a bag of silver and a few cartloads of stone. For building could never change that. Try as he might to set his stamp on the landscape. There is no TikTok, only Zool. Oh my gosh. TikTok shall now be known as Mushu. Okay. Silly, and are you doing well? Okay, good. You guys are silly. What am I gonna do with you? This ad is being persistent. I guess I will wait for the ad to go through. Or it says it's going to start in 4 minutes. I have one more snooze. Alright, keep going. There was a keyhole. Trembling, I fetched the old key from where I had hidden it and tried it, knowing it could not fail to work. I sensed an inevitability about things now. I knew I was being led forward. I felt more fright than relief. The little door swung open, revealing a precipitous flight of stone steps spiraling downward into darkness. There was nothing for it but to pick up my skirts in one hand and grasp the candle in the other, and step forward, hoping that Neve would not wake before I returned. The way was so steep and narrow I could see only the smallest distance in front of me. It was a masterpiece of construction, plunging down into the very depths of the hill, until I judged I must be below the lowest level of the house, below the courtyard, at length below even the place where the sharp rocks encircled the hill, under the fortress walls. And at last I saw light ahead, a light that was not simply the faint glow cast by my flickering candle, but an increasing brightness that was, unmistakably, the first rays of the rising sun through the mist of the marshlands. I rounded the last turn of the spiral steps, and there before me, not 5 paces away at the end of a narrow tunnel in the rocks, was an opening to the morning. I had found the way out. It was not much more than a crack, big enough for a girl my size to pass through, but too narrow for an armed man. Indeed, it was just as well my child had as yet scarcely begun to swell my belly out, for soon enough this would not be possible even for me. Strange, I thought, that there was such a chink in the impregnable armor of Shidoof. And it was unguarded. Then I looked about me and began to understand. The place where I had emerged was just below the circle of pointed rocks laid around the hill. Behind and above me the sentries paced to and fro atop the high walls, apparently unaware of my presence out here in the open. I looked in front of me, northward. Hi, baby. You were going to say hi? Got something in his mouth. Hi.
Hi, Mom. Hi, everybody.
I looked in front of me northward, and there, directly ahead, was that low line of distant hills I had seen from the ramparts. The expanse of flat ground before me was the place of sinking bog, a place so dangerous that to attempt to cross it was death, save for those few who knew the way. So we could escape this far, but no farther. Frost says hello. I crouched quiet by the rocks, willing the guards not to see me. There was no certainty they would bother to identify an intruder before loosing their arrows. Behind me, the opening through which I had come was invisible, merely another irregularity in the rocky face of the hillside. Perhaps it was concealed by fairy arts. I had counted my steps carefully, and noted their direction precisely. Coda, can you lay down, please? He's just walking back and forth. Coda! Lay down. He's going in the hallway. All right. I noted their direction precisely, for I had no wish to be stranded out here alone, without explanation. I sat quiet a while, knowing I had half a solution, but unable to grasp the remainder. It was a cool morning with gathering clouds suggesting later rain. Down by the water there were creatures, long-legged marsh birds, stabbing with their beaks at strange hopping insects. I watched them and felt my son flex his tiny limbs. I wish you could see these birds, I told him. You'll see many birds when we go home to Seven Waters. There's one called a wren. That's the smallest and very magical. You'll find it in many tales. You'll see an owl and a raven, and a lark singing fit to make you weep as it rises. You'll see the great eagle gliding above the forest and the swan descending to the lake, when at last we go home. Oh, you did the dental checkup for Elsie, that's right. How did it go? Proceeded without any complications, and scheduled for a dental cleaning. Okay, good. Good news. Looking across that wasteland, I thought about Neve's fragility. Even if I could bring her down here undetected, even if she were willing, what then? I did not know the way across. A boat, maybe. But there was no boat, and the patches of open water were few and far between. And we could not hope to go by day, for we would be soon spotted and brought back. Even now I could not understand why the guards had not seen me. Their steady patrol continued high above, passing and returning. After a while I went back up, all the way up, to emerge in our chamber out of breath, with aching legs and a mind that had not yet found any answers. I shut the door and hid the key, and pulled the tapestry back into place. Neve slept on, unaware. Next morning I went down again. It was very early. A chill mist shrouded the marsh, and clouds veiled the first sun. Stunted bush and wind-swept tussock poked uneven fingers through the mantle of vapor, and there were strange creaking noises out in the bog, subtle sounds that were not made by frogs. I shivered as I sat below the rocks and drew my woolen shawl tighter around my shoulders. There was a puzzle to solve, and I had most of the clues, but try as I might, I could not put it together and make sense of it. The old ones had guided me thus far. There was a way out, and I knew what time of day it would be safest. This morning I could not see 3 paces across the marsh before the swirling mist obscured all but a few protruding plants, and somehow survived in that harsh place. At such a time, pursuit would be all but impossible. Still, how could one attempt such a venture without a guide who knew the way? Oh, we got an ad break? I don't know if we have anybody in there that isn't subscribed. I think I'll just continue. There's only 1 minute anyway. To try it alone would be foolish indeed. Had things been different, I might gladly have taken the risk. For my sister. I might have clutched her hand and set out across the quaking bog, trusting in the oldest of forces to guide us safe, hoping to find some sanctuary before our menfolk tracked us down, but not now. My own life and Neve's, those I might have risked, but not my son's. Strange, how the pace of time seems to change. Now the days were speeding by, and for all her blind trust in my ability to make everything right, Neve seemed on edge, muttering to herself by day and waking abruptly at night, shaking and weeping from some nightmare she would not speak of. And then, with the moon waxing fast, Aisling received a message. As we sat at supper over some roast mutton and rosemary sauce, she passed it on. "Good news," she said brightly. "I've heard from Eamon. A man came in today. They have left Tara and are now quartered close by Noth, where they meet with chieftains of the district. They will stop again at Seven Waters and should be here in 4 days' time." Neve blanched. It was a blow, and I struggled for appropriate words. "You'll be happy to see Eamon again." This much, at least, was the truth. "I surely will," Aisling acknowledged with a wry smile. "I can't say it has not been difficult with him away. We have reliable and skilled people here, of course, but my brother is rather particular about things, so I do have to keep a close watch on them. Besides, I'm concerned for Eamon. He was not himself those last days before they left. I am hoping to see him in brighter spirits." I could not find a response to this and kept silent. But Neve's words tumbled out like careless footsteps across a terrain full of traps. 4 days! That can't be right! It's too soon! 4 days is not enough time! "Don't worry, Neve," I said, frowning into my sister's huge, expressive blue eyes, which spoke clearly of impending betrayal and tragedy. "Everything will be all right." I turned to Aisling. "Neve hasn't been well. We might retire early, I think. She needs her sleep." Aisling's small, freckled face was looking serious. Her eyes were on Neve, weighing up my sister's appearance and her words. "You should tell me, Leiden," she said carefully. "You should let me know if there's any problem. I might be able to help. Eamon would be sure to want to help." I doubted that very much. "Thank you, Aisling. No need to concern yourself. 4 days. The goddess help us, only 4 days. I spent a sleepless night contemplating the several equally impossible alternatives facing me and liking none of them. As soon as the sky began to lighten to the faint gray that presaged dawn, I was up, glad to be on my feet again, dressing in my sturdy boots and a warm gown with a heavy cloak over the top, desperate to get out of doors and away from the stone walls that now seemed to trap me and my dilemma tightly within them, an unsolvable puzzle in an unbreachable box. Before dawn broke, I slipped out through the secret door in the alcove, down the spiral stairs and out to the stark hillside above the marsh. There I stood, staring out northward. My stomach churned with nerves, anxiety made my head ache, and I was close to weeping from sheer fright at the thought of what I must try to do. For it seemed the only option was to take my sister's hand in mine and step out into that wasteland of an act of insane faith. A hand claps itself efficiently across my mouth and an arm went around my chest. A voice behind me said very softly, "Just warning you so you aren't tempted to make a noise. The guards can't see us, but they can hear us. Keep quiet, all right?" The pressure of the arm was released. The delicately patterned hand was withdrawn. I did not need to see this hand to identify the owner of the voice. True to his reputation, the painted man had penetrated the defenses of She-Duve as effortlessly as a shadow. "What? No blow on the head this time?" I inquired in a whisper, not turning. My heart was hammering in my breast. "Sit down." Spoken in an undertone, this was unmistakably an order. "We're in a blind spot, but it's limited. No point in going out of the way to attract attention." I sat, and Bran moved into view, settling in the cover of the rocks 3 paces away from me. He wore an ancient tunic and trousers of indefinable hue, and the soles of his soft boots were coated with black mud. His face was pale, his eyes serious. He looked wonderful. He gazed at me silently, and I gazed back at him and felt a blush rise to my cheeks. A small frown appeared on his brow. "What are you doing here?" I asked him as my mind whirled with possibilities. He took his time in replying, and when he did speak, it was cautiously. "Strange," he said. "I thought I had the answers ready for anything you might say to me, but they are all fled, every one, now that you sit here by me." "It's dangerous for you here, alone and unarmed," I said, my voice shaking. His eyes were fixed on me with an expression I had not expected to see again. "Why did you come here? There's a price on your head, you know that. That troubles you." He sounded genuinely surprised. "You were the one who changed things between us, not I." I was holding my hands clutched tight together, in case I should give in to the urge to reach out towards him. "If you think I care nothing for your safety, then you don't know me very well. Now answer my question." "I was passing and thought you might be in trouble." "I don't think that can be the truth. How could you know I was here? Besides, chance does not play a great part in your existence, I imagine, nor in that of the men you lead." Bran's expression was somber. "I could tell you the truth, but you wouldn't believe me," he said simply. "Try me. You've nothing to lose." "You think so?" "Brigade, help us, Bran. You're in for the heart of enemy territory. Why take such a foolish risk?" "Shh, not so loud. I'm neither alone nor unarmed. I came here to tell you to go home. I don't want you here at Shidouv. Things will come to a head between me and that man in its due course. I don't want you caught in the middle." My mouth opened and shut without a word. As I said, you don't believe me. But I heard a cry for help. That was what it seemed to be, a cry that came to me at night, when I was far away from this place. I found myself unable to disregard it, and so I returned. And there was indeed news that you were here in that man's domain. We keep a close watch on his fortress, Leiden. I've watched you come out when dawn rises and gaze around you as if you wished you could fly away. Things reached a point where I felt I should warn you. "Nonetheless," I said cautiously, "after the last words we spoke to each other, it seems passing strange that you should seek me out at all. It seems stranger still that you would ask me to return home to Seven Waters when you repudiate so utterly all those who dwell there. It's your safety we're discussing, not your father's character. I despise him, but that's irrelevant. Your uncle's stronghold is well guarded, and I want you back there. You must do as I tell you, Leiden. Go home. Go as soon as you can. It's not safe for you here. It's even less safe for you. You cannot be unaware that Aemon has sworn to kill you if you set foot on his land and threaten what is his again. These guards will not hesitate to loose their arrows the moment you are seen. The men in green can be swift and cruel. I would not wish you to suffer the same fate as Dog did. No man should endure such an end." I realized even as I spoke that I had said too much. Bran's eyes narrowed and he leaned closer. "How can you know what happened to Dog?" he hissed at me. "How can you know such a thing?" A cold shiver went through me as the images returned stock to my mind. The darkness by the roadside, the muffled sound of blows raining down, the clink of harness as they rode away, and Dog's voice, wheezing in his chest. A knife. "I know because I was there," I said in a thread of a voice. "I know because I watched from the shadows and could not stop them. I know because—" My voice wobbled dangerously. "Because what, Leiden?" asked Bran softly. "Because he cried out for the knife at the end, and there was nobody there but me. He cried out for you to end it. But the hand that drew the knife across his throat was mine." I heard him let out a breath, and then there was silence for quite some time. I managed to hold back my tears. I managed not to reach out my hand and touch him. "I thought myself strong," he said eventually, looking not at me but at some point away across the mist-shrouded marshes. "I thought I could do this, but it is a test of will such as I have never yet encountered." This made no sense to me, and time was running short. "You're asking me to go home. I always intended that. but I'm only here for a visit until Aemon returns from Terra. That will be quite soon. In 4 days they are expected. Then I will go back to Seven Waters, but I cannot leave any earlier. There's my sister. What's to stop both you and your sister leaving today? Why wait until that man returns? If there's a problem with an escort, I will provide one, discreetly. An effective but invisible presence. I'm not sure why you would think you should have any part in such a decision. I drew a deep breath. Besides, it's not so easy. I have a problem. A very serious problem. And there is no one I can turn to. No one I can ask for help. There was a brief silence. You could ask me, he said, with extreme diffidence. Then he waited. This is indeed a task for the painted man, I conceded. But I doubt if I could afford the price. You offend me, Bran snapped. But still he kept his voice down, for after all, the man was a professional. I can't imagine why, I said. You are a mercenary for hire. Are you not? A man with no conscience. Is it not customary to discuss terms with such a man when buying his services? Perhaps you should outline the task first, and we'll discuss the terms later. His tone was cool. I hardly know how, but I will tell it as plainly as I can, for I have very little time. My absence will soon be noted. My sister was married at midsummer. Her husband is a man of some influence. One of the Oonagh. You know that. I keep myself informed. Go on. She was not willingly married. Her heart was given to another man, but she went to Tir Connell. It is a bond that allies us to the northern Oonagh, with all the strategic advantage that provides. Bran nodded comprehension. He was scowling fiercely, his raven's mask adding to his daunting aspect. Her husband has hurt her. He has treated her cruelly. Neve is sorely changed, a shadow of her old self. But she will not tell. I found out myself by accident, and she made me swear not to make this known to any of the family. I cannot allow her husband to take her back to Tir Connell. That way is the end for her. She would take the knife to her wrist rather than submit to him again. I know it. I promised her she need not go back. I see. And now you have 4 days to achieve the impossible. That's what it amounts to, I said in a small voice, realizing the full extent of my folly. What was your plan? Bran asked. Half a plan was as far as I got. To bring Neve down here early one morning when the mist was thick enough. To make our way across the marshes to the north. To beg a ride on a passing cart, somewhere to get her to a place of safety. He regarded me levelly. It's just as well I am here then, he said. Where is she to be taken? For how long? What tale would be told to cover her disappearance? My heart was starting to thud again. A convent would be best. In the south, I thought. Perhaps in Munster. Somewhere very safe, where my family is not known. I don't suppose you would have any such connections. You'd be surprised. What will you tell the O'Neill and your family? Best if Fian believes her dead. Then he will not seek her out, but will look for another bride. That way the alliance need not be broken. I can hardly keep the truth from my family. I suppose I must tell them, in the end. Bran shook his head. You want her to disappear so there would be no pursuit. The most effective way to achieve that is to conceal the truth from all but those who need to know. Very few need to know. You should use the same story for all. For some reason, you can invent one. Your sister wandered out on the marsh and lost her footing. You saw her go under. You are distraught, the husband grieves, the family mourns. Your sister is safe in her convent, for as long as she wishes. Perhaps forever. What of this other man, the one you say took her heart? Will he be a part of it? No. He's gone away. My family forbade that union. What is his name? Ciaran. A druid. Why would you need to know that? When you buy my services, I make the rules, and I ask the questions. Will your sister come willingly? I think so. She is damaged, frail, confused in her mind, but she wants above all to escape her husband. It is a terrible marriage, one that has come close to destroying her. We have Sortok, hello! Yep, well, it's not his day today. He'll be back on Tuesday. Alright. And what if this Oonagh starts looking around for a replacement? It has not occurred to you that you may find yourself to be his next choice. His tone was very severe. I choked back nervous laughter. You may be quite sure that will not be so, I said, as a child did a backflip in my belly. It would be altogether logical if the family to which you are so doggedly loyal forced your sister into such a monstrous alliance. You can have no reason to hope they will not do the same to you. I would sooner beg by the road than ally myself with such a man, I told him. It will not happen. There was a trace of a smile. Besides, you know how to defend yourself, he said. I do, and I would. I don't doubt it. Bran. Yes. My mother is very sick, I told you. Dying. It would be cruel to tell her Neve was dead if it were not true. I would rather not do that. As to that part of it, I can only advise. You are the one who must do the telling. Ask yourself, do you really want your sister to be safe? If you do, then you must be prepared to take the most difficult way. I nodded, swallowing hard. What would your price be for such a mission? I asked him. You believe I can do this for you? This question took me off guard, and I answered without thinking. Of course I believe it. I would trust you with my life, Bran. There was no other I would ask to do this for me. That's the price, then. What is? I asked, confused. Trust. That's the price. This was a conversation full of traps. I said, I thought you did not believe in trust. You told me so once. That much remains unchanged. It is your trust that is the price for this mission. So you see, you have paid in advance. Then when will you do it? I asked shakily, feeling tears prick the back of my eyes, dangerously close. That is true, Esther. I'll need 2 days to make some arrangements. It can't be put in place any quicker than that. Are you sure you would not prefer simply to have this Oonagh removed from the picture permanently? That could be achieved with ease and more or less immediately. He would simply never return here. I shivered. No, thank you. I'm not quite ready to burden my conscience with murder, though I did consider it, I must confess. Besides, you have enough powerful enemies. I'd rather not add to them. There was a brief silence. You'd best go back in. Bran's tone was businesslike. I don't understand, I said unsteadily. I don't understand why you are helping us, when you hate us so much. What is it that brings this darkness to your eyes whenever you hear my father's name? What has he done to inspire such loathing? He is a good man. Bran's jaw tightened. I won't speak of such things, he said. Then he rose to his feet, glancing up at the sentries. Yes, I know, I should go back inside. But I did not move. Will you give me your hand to seal this bargain? He asked diffidently. I held out my hand, and he took it in his own. Now he would not meet my eyes. As for me, I felt his touch in every corner of my body, and I fought a hard battle with myself not to throw my arms around him then and there, or to say something that would reveal to him how precarious my hold was on my feelings. I reminded myself that he had the code to help him keep control. He used it well. This might have been any transaction between allies. He released my hand. Bring your sister down before dawn, the day after tomorrow. We'll be ready. Take no undue risks, Leiden. I want you safe. Take no chances. I would say the same to you if I thought you would listen, I said, turning away before he could see I was crying. How could I tell him I carried his child, the grandson of the hated Hugh of Harrowfield? How could I burden him with that? And yet the words had been there on my lips. It was not until I had made my way inside and up to the safety of my bedchamber that I realized I had not asked him a single thing about Sean and his journey north, and whether my brother had indeed presented him with a proposition. All right, that's fine, Frost. And that's the end of chapter 9. So we are going to go into chapter 10. Let's see how long it is. So this one will probably take close to 2 hours to get through, so we'll just see how far we can get. Everett, when you can you go grab my water, please? I forgot it, 'cause I'm a dope.
Okay.
After that, my behavior was exemplary. I made no more secret trips outside the walls. No sentries observed me venturing into unusual parts of the fortress. I helped Aisling carry out a full inspection of the brewery, and I advised the household's residence herbalist on the stocking of her still room shelves for winter. I did not tell Neve exactly what was going to happen, or when, for I could not trust her to keep it quiet. Hello, Cormac. Welcome in. And thank you, Val, for the roses. And hello, Just Me. Welcome in. And thank you for the tiny dinies. Teeny deenies. We are reading Son of Shadows by Juliet Marie. We just started chapter 10. It's a somewhat older book. Early 2000s, I think. Not old, but older. May 2001, so very early 2000s. Instead, I simply told her all was arranged, and she was content with that. On the surface, I was calm and capable. Underneath, I was stretched tight as a harp-string. I went back over what Bran had said to me, and what he had not said, time after time. I admitted to myself that it had been his help I had wanted all along. I tried not to think of the things I had longed to say to him, and had not dared to voice. Impossible things like, stay with me, and you will have a son before Belton. Putting these thoughts from my mind as best as I could, I simply thanked the old ones, from the depths of my heart, for bringing him to my aid when I had thought all hope lost, for somehow sending him back to me when I believed he had put me and mine behind him forever. What had wrought such a change was a mystery to me. Yes, Bethany. So she did go back home. Obviously, they were not pleased with her staying tight-lipped about where she was when she was missing. And then when they found out that she was pregnant, on top of that, they were doubly upset. But her father made it so that nobody else would bother her about it or press her on the issue. So they're just going to accept that she's staying at Seven Waters and is going to have a bastard child. So after that, she had to tell Aemon, because Aemon was still after her hand in marriage, and she turned him down. And then even after that, he still was insistent on her marrying him and said that he would raise the child. I am very much disliking winter, yeah. So she still turned him down, and he was upset. And then there was no time to dwell on that because the men needed to go on a political venture for a meeting to talk about how they were going to get the islands back. And during this time that they were away, the women, Aisling, Theoden, and Neve, her sister, are back at, they went to Shidub, which is where Aisling and Aemon live. And they found out Neve has been abused by her husband, the O'Neill. And now Theoden is trying to find a way to get her out of that situation. And that's where we're at. So she's arranged with Bran to have her sister whisked away so that she can escape this terrible marriage that she's in. Putting these thoughts from my mind as best I could, I simply think, now I read that. There we go. I was not foolish enough to believe I might someday hold him in my arms again and hear him speak words of love. These were thoughts of a silly, romantic girl, I said to myself severely. But I spoke to our son and I told him. He is your father. A man who is the best at what he does, always. A man you can trust with your life. The night before he was due to come for us, I told Neve as much as she needed to know. That she was to get up quietly when I woke her, before dawn, and dress in the warm, dark clothes I had set out for her. That we must then leave fast and silently, going by secret ways down to the edge of the marsh. That a man would be there to guide her across, and then take her to a place where she would be safe. It might be a long time before she saw me again. A man? She blinked at me as she sat there in her nightdress, a little frown of puzzlement creasing her brow. What man? A friend of mine, I said. You must not be alarmed by his appearance. He is the best protector you could possibly have. How could you? Her words trailed off, but I could read the real message in her jumbled thoughts, for she was ignorant of the art of concealing what was in her mind. She was wondering how little homebody like me could possibly know the sort of man who could be of any use to us. It's of no importance, I said. What you need to remember is to keep yourself quiet and do as I say, no matter what happens. Lives depend on it, Neve. Then when we get there, just follow his orders. Just do that and you'll be away from here and safely hidden well before your husband returns with Aemon. Theoden, the tone was a child's. What? Couldn't you come with me? No, Neve. You'll be fine on your own, believe me. I cannot come, for if both of us disappear, pursuit is certain. If such a thing happened to his house, Aemon would follow all leads to his very end. I must stay and tell a story to cover your escape. After that, I'll go home. A story? What story? Never mind that. Now you must sleep. You'll need all your strength in the morning. I agree, Esther. It started well enough. After a sleepless night, I roused Neve before dawn and redressed by the light of a single candle. She was painfully slow, and I did most of it for her, fastening her gown, combing her hair, putting the gray cloak around her shoulders, and telling her to keep the hood up once we were out of doors. For today she did not wear a veil, and the bright beacon of her hair must be concealed from view. So, Sean escorted the women to Shidub in the marshes, and then he was to meet the rest of the men at the meeting. However, he said that he wasn't going to go straight there. He was going to seek out the painted man to make a proposition. He wants the painted man's help in securing the islands. I showed her the hidden doorway and explained once again where it led. My sister nodded gravely, with something resembling comprehension in her eyes. I'm ready, she said. And thank you, Theoden. Think nothing of it, I replied somewhat unsteadily. Thank me and my friends when you are safe in the house of the Holy Sisters. Now. At that moment there was a noise in the courtyard below, and torches flaring. I moved silently to step up on a stool and look out our narrow window. Riders were coming up from the main entry. Men in green and men with the sign of the Oonagh blazoned on their tunics, red and white. The snake that devoured itself. There was a sound of horses' feet, of men's voices, the unbolting of doors, and the household come awake. I glimpsed Eamon, pale and serious as always, swinging down from his horse and starting to give crisp orders. I saw the upright, authoritative figure of Fian O'Neill among his men. Clearly there had been no stop to Seven Waters, not for them. They had ridden straight here, and they were 2 days early. Bran was my first panicked thought as I ushered my sister under the tapestry and through the narrow opening. Bran is here, and Eamon is back. If Eamon kills him, it will be my fault. Terrible possibilities flooded my mind as we spiraled down the precipitous steps. I, just below Niamh, leading her as she wailed in panic. Theoden, I don't think I can do this. It's so dark and small. Be quiet, I hissed, and gripped her hand harder. Keep your promise and do as I say. She seemed unaware of what was happening in the courtyard, and I did not enlighten her. She was already near paralyzed with fear, and her journey had barely begun. Bess says she did not know how close pursuit might be. We were very slow. Come on, Niamh. At last we reached the foot of the steps and began to move along the short passageway. Careful here, I whispered. The ground's wet. Don't slip. With any luck, nobody would look for us so early. The men would want to eat and rest first. There might still be time. It was quiet outside. There were no voices save those of the marsh birds calling as the day began to wake. A blanket of mist, sickly yellow-gray, hung above the boglands and touched the stony shore. You would think even the painted man could not find a way through such a heavy veil. We reached the safe spot below the frieze of the pointed stones. High above us on the wall, the sentries patrolled steadily to and fro. Then Niamh gave a little sharp squeal and I whipped a hand up across her mouth. Shh, I hissed. Do you want to get us killed? These men are here to help us. Oh, but, keep her quiet, can't you? My sister's frightened eyes stared at the man who had spoken, the man who had loomed up suddenly before her with his shaven head and patterned skin, and then at the man behind him, whose flesh was black as night and whose white teeth were bared in a ferocious grin as he greeted me with a nod. Clearly, Niamh could not decide which of them was more fearsome. Bran. I drew him slightly aside, speaking in an undertone. Eamon has returned, not long ago, with my sister's husband. The place is full of armed men. I know. You should go now and take the utmost care. Eamon has vowed to destroy you and would carry it out with the least excuse. Please go quickly. He frowned at me. Don't concern yourself with me. I'm not worth it. Besides, you'll have enough to worry about. I do concern myself with you. Why can't you listen to good advice for once in your life? Come on, said Gull softly. He had taken Niamh's hand and was leading her, gently enough, across the exposed ground to the edge of the marshland, where the fog would conceal them. You think me a mercenary without conscience, a man without human feelings, whispered Bran, and his fingers came up to lie against my cheek, warm and alive. And yet you wish me to be safe. That is not consistent. You have a low opinion of women, and you despise my family, I replied with tears in my eyes, for his touch set off an aching deep within me that was joy and pain rolled into one. And yet you risk your life to come here, so you can tell me to go home. You risk it again to save my sister, another woman. You can hardly call that consistent. We looked at each other, and despite myself, I felt a tear spill down my cheek. Don't, said Bran fiercely, and his thumb moved against my skin as if to stem the flow. Thank you for coming, I whispered. I don't know how I would have managed without you. He said nothing, but as I looked at him, I saw his eyes unshielded, deep and steady gray eyes. And then were the words he would not allow himself to speak. I put my hand up over his own. There was a shout from above, and a twang, and an arrow whirred over our heads to land just behind Gull, where he guided the stumbling Niamh down to the concealment of the mist. Gull let out a curse, and Niamh a little shriek, and then it seemed she froze in fear and would go no farther. "Brigid, help us," I muttered, and picked up my skirts, ready to run down and push her bodily to safety. The stupid girl. Bran's voice halted me. "No," he said. "Stay here where they cannot see you. Goodbye, Legion." "Welcome back, Frost." Then he turned and ran out into the path of their arrows, a plain target to draw their fire from my sister, and I stood and watched him because I had promised. I had bought his services, and that meant he made the rules. Up above on the walkway there was shouting, and I heard Eamon's voice. The arrows began to come with speed, and they were well aimed, but the running man was swift and clever, dodging and weaving, turning around to make a quick, vulgar gesture of defiance in the direction of his attackers. He could have covered the distance in half the time, but he made sure both Gull and the struggling, terrified Neve, whose dark hood had fallen back now to reveal clearly her cropped auburn locks, had vanished entirely into the clinging blanket of mist, before he bolted at full speed after them. The vapor swallowed them up, and they were gone. Several things happened quite fast. Orders were given above. Then men with swords and daggers and spears and axes came around below the walls, running, and halted by the edge of the marsh near where I still stood, motionless just below the rock barrier. Eamon was among them, and it was he who turned first and saw me. There was no need to school my features. I imagine I already wore a convincing look of shock and fear. "Theoden, thank goodness you're safe." I could see the fury in Eamon's eyes, scarcely masked by his relief and concern. "I thought... What happened, Leoden? Tell me quickly. We must go after these men straight away." I... It's all right. You're safe now. Take a deep breath and try to tell me." He was gripping me by the shoulders, quite hard, his hands communicating the urge to pursue, punish, and destroy. Neve is gone," I gulped. "She's gone." "Where?" "I don't know." So far I had not had to lie. I was not very good at lying, and Eamon knew me better than many. I would have to hope his fury might blind him to any deficiencies in my story. A story that must now be told rather differently, since not only Neve but both Gull and Bran had been in clear sight before they fled. "Across the marshlands, to the north. I don't know where or why." Eamon scowled. "Tell me everything you know, Leoden, as quickly as you can. Every moment counts. How could you and Neve come down here without my guards seeing you?" "There's a hidden way. Don't you know? A spiral staircase, a concealed door in the alcove." He swore under his breath. "You mean, but that way has been sealed as long as I can remember. There is no key. How could you get it?" My hand touched the key where it lay in my pocket. It became necessary to lie. "I don't know. I woke up early this morning and Neve was gone. She left the secret door open and I followed her. When I came out, she was... "All right, Leoden," he said with grave kindness. "You need not tell that part. How many men did you see? Only 2. I nodded mutely. "You know where they were, I suppose?" I nodded again. Or what they were, sorry. "Why, that's what I ask myself," Eamon muttered, pacing restlessly. "Why would he take her except in some gesture of insane defiance? What can he hope to gain by this? There's no reason to it." I swallowed hard. Do you think you can track them down and bring her back?" It seemed to me the mist was starting to dissipate as the sun rode higher. I could see a short way across the marsh now, the dark, sucking mud punctuated here and there by low clumps of vegetation. They were too far apart for a man to make his way down by leaping from one to the next. Sooner or later he must put his foot on that black-brown, spongy surface and trust it to carry his weight. A man who is unable to trust would only get over by knowing the way with total accuracy. Still, they were the best. If they said they could lead Neve across, they could. "Eamon, for God's sake, what has happened?" "They said Neve." Fian came up at a sprint. boots crunching on the rocky hillside. His hard features were set grimly, his face white. "I regret this greatly," Eamon said with formality, and I realized it would indeed reduce his status among his allies that such a slip in security could occur on his very doorstep, almost under his nose. No wonder the painted man had the reputation he did for sheer effrontery. "It appears she has been abducted, and there is no doubt who is responsible. My guards saw them clearly, a man with coal-black skin and another who bore an unmistakable pattern on face and arm. These are the same Fianna who slaughtered my warriors before my eyes. It is fortunate my archers drove them off before Leodin too was taken." "Which way?" demanded Fian, and his expression reminded me that he was an O'Neill and a leader of men. "I will cleave this fellow's limbs from his body when I find him. Which way?" "You cannot go," said Eamon bluntly. "This task is for me and those of my men who know the art of making such a crossing safely and with speed. I will do my best to bring your wife back, and I swear I will not rest until the perpetrators of this outrage are brought to justice. Now I must go, and quickly." "Justice!" Fian's tone was savage. "Justice is too good for them. Give me a moment alone with these scum and an axe in my hand, and I'll carve a few more pretty patterns on their outlaw hides. Don't speak to me of justice, or to Neve's sister here. Go inside, Leodin." Eamon was making his way down to the marsh's edge now. 2 of his men were waiting, the green tunics replaced with garments of mud-brown shade, their riding boots with softer, more pliable footwear. They were closely hooded, and they bore dagger and throwing knife at the belt. They stood by as Eamon stripped off his outer garments and quickly dressed in the same way. Each man bore a strong staff, taller than his own height. "All right," said Eamon. "I'll lead the way. Stay close behind and be ready to strike at short notice. They've not so much of a start on us that we cannot make up the distance before they reach dry land. The lady will slow them. Oren, your job is to get her safe away. Once you have her, turn back and leave the rest to us. Go carefully, she'll be frightened. Con, you'll take the black man. The other is mine." It is no wonder women have a reputation for patience that is not shared by men. We spend so much of our time waiting. Waiting for a child to be born, waiting for a man to come home from the fields, from the sea, from battle. Waiting endlessly for news. That can be the worst, as fear bites deep as the vitals and seizes the heart with chill fingers. The mind can make strange and terrible pictures while you are waiting. Aisling was a kind girl, and I came to appreciate it through that long day. It was impossible to settle to anything. She provided mead and spiced fruits in a comfortable private corner by a small ashwood fire, and words of sympathy. There was no need at all for me to feign distress. "Sit down, Leodin," Aisling urged anxiously, her round blue eyes full of concern. "Come on, sit by me. I'm sure Neve will come back safe. Eamon knows those tracks like the back of his hand. He's very capable. If anyone can find her, he can." Little did she know that her words made my heart sink. "I can't help it," I said. "It's so easy to make a mistake. Everyone says so, in the mist. Trying to cover ground quickly, they could go off the track so easily, Aisling. How long? How long before we get a message?" My hands were shaking, and I clasped them tightly together. "It could be a while," Aisling said gently. "Fian has sent his men around by the road to cut them off on the other side. Eamon will go cautiously. There's no room for error on that path. One way or another, the outlaws will be trapped." As we waited, Fian paced up and down, grim-faced and silent. He had opted to remain here at Shidouv, waiting for the first news, rather than ride with his men. Now he was like a caged beast, his eyes burning with anger, his hands balled into tight fists. I wondered whether he felt fear for his wife, if his spirit ached for her as mine did for Bran, knowing the men in green were close behind him, with death in their eyes. Or was Fian simply angry at the brazen theft of a prized possession, albeit one he had treated with contempt? "I hope they get away. Yep, me too." "Hello, Warrior of Tyr. Welcome in." Alright, good night, Val. Thanks for coming in. We will Probably end in about 20 minutes, since I know it will be late for some of you. Time passed, and there was no word. I found I could sit no longer, and I begged a respite to return to my bedchamber for a while. As I passed Fian, he put a hand on my shoulder. "Take heart," he said quietly. "All may yet be well." I glanced at him, gave a nod, and walked away. There was nothing to read on his face but the look of a sorrowing husband waiting anxiously to learn if his wife lived or died. If it were not for the bruises fading fast, there would be no evidence at all of what Neve had endured, none but the testimony of the mind, and that I was forbidden to share. Donna, help us all. What if they did not manage to get away? What if the painted man was not the best after all, and Damon caught him? It was unthinkable. If that happened, I would have no choice but to break my promise to my sister and tell the whole truth. Trust, that's the price. I could hear Bran's voice in my head as I went into the bedchamber and closed the door behind me. There was no room for doubt. I must have faith in him. I did have faith in him. So why was my heart still hammering? And why was my skin sweaty and cold? Why did I feel hollow and drained as if I had lost a part of myself? I lay on my bed for a while, gazing at nothing. And as I grew quiet, I could feel the slight movements of the child inside me. You will be a father before Belton. I had not told Bran. How could I tell him? To know this would be nothing more than another burden. A man cannot be a father if he has no past and no future. A man cannot acknowledge a son who bears the blood of a family he utterly despises. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, madam.
Better that he did not know. Better that nobody knew whose son this was. Son of the raven, child of the prophecy. I would not be tied to that, and nor should he. But there was Sean. You cannot keep secrets forever, not from a twin. He suspected. Soon enough he would know. And now it was even more complicated. For whatever the bitter outcome of this chase through the marshes, it must blacken the reputation of the painted man still further if he survived. Whatever happened, today's events would cut so deep that the men of my family, and the men of their alliance, could never consider dealing with the painted man again. Unless I told the truth. And I had promised Neve in my silence. Poor Neve. She would be so frightened. She would feel so alone. What if she blundered off the path in her panic? What if she froze in terror again and could not be controlled to move? I willed myself to breathe more slowly. My mind reached out, very cautiously. Sean. There was no response. Perhaps I had been too cautious. Sean, answer me. I need you, Sean. There was nothing at all. I waited a long time with my mind open for his reply. So long I almost began to think the unthinkable. Knowing where he had been, knowing who he had been with, I felt doubt creeping into my mind. Trust, I told myself firmly. The price is trust. Aiden, what's wrong? I let my breath out in a rush. Sean, where are you? At home. Where else would I be? What's wrong? I can't say, but it is something bad and I can't deal with it alone. You must come here to Shidoof. Come now, Sean. Bring an escort. We will be waiting. We will be coming home with you. You'd better tell me, Leiden. Has something happened to Neve? Why do you ask that? His response when it came was cautious. I'm not blind, whatever you might think. Can you tell me what has happened? Shall I bring father or Liam? I was shivering as I sat there and could not keep my fear from him. My every thought was shadowed with it. No, don't bring them. Just you and a few men. I don't want Aemon's guards riding back with us. Come quickly, Sean. I'm on my way. Mercifully, he asked no further questions. And by the time he got here, it would be over, one way or another. It was nearly dusk before Aemon returned. We were back in the hall by then, close to the massive hearth whose crackling fire cast gold light on the odd carved pillars. The eyes of the strange creatures seemed to flicker and glow as they stared balefully down at us. There was muted noise as serving men and women brought food and drink, and took it away untouched. Aisling gave quiet instructions. She looked pale and tired. Fian sat at the table with his head in his hands. When at last we heard a stir outside, the sentries on the high guard post calling and then voices in the courtyard, nobody jumped up and ran to the window to look. Instead, we sat frozen, the three of us, unable, after so long a wait to believe the news could not be good, and unwilling to advance the inevitable moment when we must be told the worst. Eamon was a man who did not lose control easily. You had to know him well to recognize when he was angry or upset. Even his proposal of marriage had been a model of restraint. But now, as he came quietly into the hall and with the slightest gesture of his hand caused the folk of his household to vanish, it was clear that he was exhausted almost beyond endurance. His face was bleached of color, and he looked shattered and old. Aisling sprang up to take his arm and lead him to a seat by the fire, and he shook off her solicitous grasp with a violent jerk of the arm. That in itself showed how far stretched he was. Dark mud coated his shoes and was spattered over his clothing. "You'd better tell us," I said grimly. Eamon stood before the fire with his back to us, staring into the heart of the flames. "You have not brought back my wife," Fian said, his voice under control. His hands were clenched. Aisling had retreated to the sit by me and was keeping her mouth shut. Eamon put a hand over his eyes, a hand that was not quite steady, and he said in an undertone, "The goddess help me. Who would be the bearer of such news?" I got up and went to stand close by him, and I took his hand in both of mine. This touch he did not shake off, and he had no choice but to look at me. "Now, Eamon," I said, meeting his gaze as steadily as I could, though the look in his deep brown eyes disquieted me. "Fian waits for news of his wife, and I of my sister. We know what you have to tell cannot be good, but you must tell it." "Oh, Theoden, I would give much not to bring such ill things." "Tell us, Eamon." He took a deep breath, a shuddering breath. "It is the worst, I'm afraid. Your sister is dead, drowned on the way across to dry land. But..." Aisling was up in a flash, her arm around my shoulders. "Sit down, Theoden. Come, sit down." I trembled. There was no longer any way to tell truth from fantasy. This trap I had set for myself. "What?" Fian rose to his feet very slowly. "What are you telling us? How could you allow this to happen? On your own land?" "We did everything. Sent men around the road, your own men and mine, to block their way out. Followed behind across the bog, moving as quickly as we could. The mist was very thick, and that hampered us. But I knew they too would be affected by it, and Neve would be slow, I thought, clad in a long gown and not knowing the way. They would have to talk her across, step by step. In that I was right. We did catch them, but much further across than I expected. This man is proficient with his evil works. We were closer to the far side than this when the mist lifted just a little, and there he was, the painted man, glancing back over his shoulder as he stepped from one safe foothold to the next. He knew the way all right. I never saw him look down, not once. I could not see far ahead, but I glimpsed Neve's bright hair and the grey of her cloak through the veil of mist. I could not see the man who led her. I alerted my companions, and taking my throwing knife from my belt, I quickened the pace, moving up behind my quarry until there were no more than 7 paces between us. He was quite silent. He moved soft as a deer, but up ahead I heard Neve's voice as she asked a question, and a man's voice answering. I weighed the knife in my hand, judging the distance to a certain point between that man's ribs. I knew he must be the first to go. Tell me, for pity's sake, tell me. I clenched my teeth tighter. I was gaining rapidly. The painted man had a knife at his belt, but made no sign of taking hold of it. It was almost as if he were waiting for me to take him. I raised my knife, poised to throw, and quick as a flash he turned and made a subtle movement of his hand, and something small and shiny flew by me. I heard the man behind me give a little grunting sound, and there was a splash as he fell. And when I looked forward again, the painted man was gone. Fury made me careless, and as I strode ahead, I almost lost my footing. I cried out after him, "Murderer, scum of the earth, I will put an end to your life in destruction and waste. You are marked for my knife, outlaw." I heard him laugh, an empty, heartless sound, and then Neve gave a scream. She had heard my voice and was struggling to get free, knowing rescue was close at hand. His words sent a chill on my heart. I could see it clear as if it were right before me. Neve hearing her pursuer's voice, and desperate with the fear that she might, after all, not escape to freedom. Neve panicking, there on the treacherous pathway. "Go on, Eamon," I said in a shaking voice. "I don't know how much I should tell you." "You'd better tell everything, for your own sake as much as ours." "Out with it, man." Vian was less patient than I. "Very well." Neve screamed no, and there was a sound of a struggle ahead of me. The mist still hung low. It parted only in patches here and there, and I could not see clearly. I moved on as fast as I could, careless of my own safety. Colin, who had been last of us three, came up behind me. But hasten as we might, we were too slow to save your sister. There was a shout from the man who had been in front, and then Neve's voice again. "Help me, help." For an instant I saw the man's hand, black as coal, reaching out, and a flash of red. Neve's hair as she slipped from my safe.
Michael gave you a raid. Give him some raspberries.
Oh, okay, give him raspberries.
You also have ads coming in.
Hello, Michael Sego.
So you want to click on the three, let everybody know that they're just going to let them run ads real quick on Twitch.
Well, I'm only reading for 5 more minutes.
Well, but you're going to do songs though, aren't you? You can just do a 1 minute.
I guess if they want me to.
Yeah. Just do a 1 minute real quick so that they're not.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a 1 minute ad. You're good, Maddie. It is a rotten time. I'll read. I can go on. Let's see. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. Even 7 pages is actually a long time. That might take like half an hour. Maybe less. We'll see. I'll stop when there seems to be like a reasonable spot to stop. You were playing Just Chatting. What were you doing? I don't know if Michael Psycho can hear me.
30 minutes.
Do-do-do. Mhm. Nope.
It's
And don't forget your mom already rebanned. So my deal doesn't.
I'm
get
sure it
down,
did,
it's not
Maddie.
banned.
Seems to happen frequently. Okay. So the
Then
ad
you
should be
can
done.
losers and get,
Thank you
They're
for
not
the
even
raid,
on it.
Michael Psycho. And
Might
welcome.
be losers and get Hello Kitty out
I
of
saw
it.
you were just
don't
chatting,
have it.
so I'm not sure what
I
you were
don't
doing
have it.
exactly.
Tell them to get it.
I can't get it.
Sure you can.
You guys talking about Elden Ring?
No.
Okay.
I'm talking about being grumpy.
Alright. We will continue telling about what happened to Eve. I saw very little, Leiden. By the time I reached the place where it had happened, there was no trace of her but the marks of the tussock where her foot had slipped, and a a patch on the surface of the mud where she had gone under, and this. He held out a little cord of plaited threads, grey and rose and blue, at ends bound with strips of leather. On it hung a small white stone with a hole in it. This cord was my own handiwork, and when I saw it I felt the blood drain from my face. Just trying to turn page here. For this, surely, me would never willingly leave behind. Never, no matter where she went, no matter what orders she was given. This little token held all she had left of her family's love, and Ciaran's. Where was this, Eamon? I forced the words out. Floating on the surface, in a small patch of open water. The cord was caught on a reed. I'm sorry, Theoden. More sorry than I could possibly tell you. Theon cleared his throat. What then? What of the Fianna? Were they captured? Eamon stared into the fire again. It was not long before the man showed his true colors. We moved on after them to the north, and I could hear him laughing, taunting me as he fled. It surprised you, didn't it? He called back at me. Didn't think I'd go that far, did you? A derisive chuckle. Think again, Eamon Duve, he said. My actions are not governed by your notions of what is correct and honorable. I play only to win, and I employ whatever strategy is required. If you would catch me, you must learn I cannot be measured by your same yardsticks as other men. I took the woman only to demonstrate the weakness in your defenses. Now that I've drawn it to your attention, I'm sure it'll be swiftly remedied. You see, I've done you a favor. He went on in this vein, and all the while he managed to stay just ahead of me. However, I increased my speed. We drew closer in the place where we must stop onto dry land to be met by Fian's men, but the mist was still thick, and suddenly I lost sight of them. Then there was a sound to the left of the path, like the croaking of a frog, and a sound to the right like an answer, and I made my way ahead as fast as any man could go. As I reached dry ground, the mist lifted. There were Fian's men waiting by the road, silent. But of the painted man and his dark-skinned companion, there was no sign. Somehow they had slipped away and out of the bog and never passed the place where the ambush was set. How they did it, I do not know, for there is no other way. Excuse me. Fian turned abruptly on his heel and strode away out of the hall. His face was grey. I might have felt some sympathy for him, but I could not forget my sister's bruises. If he had lost her, it was no better than he deserved. Hey, Fey Witch, how you doing? Okay. I'm sorry, Eamon said again. Words are not adequate, Leiden. Rest assured that it will be my mission to hunt these men down and see that they receive the harshest penalty. That is scant consolation to you for such a loss. Aisling was weeping. Oh, poor Neve. What a terrible way to die. I can scarcely bear to think of it. We had better send word to Seven Waters. I will arrange a messenger. You need not. My voice was shaking. I took a deep breath and forced myself to be calm. Everett. Quiet. Sean is already on his way. I have asked him to come. Brother and sister looked at me and at each other, but nothing was said. It was common enough knowledge that Sean and I need not use words to reach one another, but such a skill makes even friends uneasy. He'll be here tomorrow, I added. Eamon, I have to ask you this. Are you quite sure that Neve... Are you certain? After all you did not see, what could she possibly have made her way to the other side? Could you be wrong? Eamon shook his head gravely. I am afraid not. There are no side tracks on those marshes. There is only one way. She could not have escaped them and survived Leoden. This will be terrible news to break to your mother. I nodded mutely. Terrible indeed, and all the worse for the fact that I could not tell if it were true or not. It might be a long time before I knew. Meanwhile, the truths that I did know must remain concealed, and a cruel tale be told, which might be falsehood. For just in case Eamon was wrong, just in case the painted man had achieved the impossible yet again and taken my sister to safety, I must keep my part of the bargain. Trust, I said to myself over and over. Trust beyond all logic. That's the price. I must be crazy. The next day Sean came and we told him. He took the news quietly, having perhaps expected the worst. I conveyed to him my wish to return immediately to Seven Waters, and I was packed and ready just after dawn the following morning. Sean refused Eamon's offer of an escort, for, he said, the 5 men he had brought with him should be quite sufficient. It's Lead and safety I'm thinking of, said Eamon heavily. This man will stop at nothing. I'd be happy if you were protected, at least to the borders of my own land. Sean glanced at me, brows raised. Thank you, Eamon, I said, but I don't think you need to concern yourself. Surely the painted man will not strike again so soon. He must know you will be on the alert for him. I'm sure we will reach home quite safely. Eamon's hands were moving restlessly, as if itching to grasp a weapon and use it. Your confidence surprises me, Leiden, in view of what has happened. I will ride out with you myself, at least as far as the little settlement. We could hardly refuse. We said our farewells to Aisling and rode away from Sheduv under a lowering grey sky. When the time came for Eamon to turn back, he drew me aside while Sean conferred with his men. I had hoped you might stay longer, Eamon said quietly. Or let me come back to Seven Waters with you. I bear the guilt for what has happened. I should be responsible for telling them, for helping to explain. Oh, no, I said. Whoever bears the blame for this, it is not you, Eamon. Do not add that to your burdens. You should go home now and put this behind you. You should move on. I did not like the intense, almost feverish light in his eyes. You are very strong, he commented, frowning. But then, you always were. I have long admired that in you. There are few women who could speak with such courage so soon after losing a sister. It seemed safer not to reply. This is goodbye, then, he said. Please tell your parents that I so much wish. I'll tell them, I said firmly. Goodbye, Eamon. I had expected to feel relief when finally I rode away from Sheduv and its mist-shrouded marshlands, knowing I was on the road for home. But as I turned my head and caught a glimpse of Eamon's lone figure riding back to the heart of his strange and hospitable territory, the feeling that was strongest in me was that I had somehow abandoned him, as if I had sent him back into his own dark place. This seemed fanciful, and I tried to dismiss it, but the image remained in my mind as we rode steadily on and the terrain became more thickly wooded, rising between jagged rocks toward the margin of the forest. Sean halted his horse suddenly and motioned to the others to do the same. What? I ventured. Shh! Sean raised a hand in warning. We all sat silent. I could hear nothing but the sound of birds and the spatter of a few raindrops. After a while, Sean moved his horse forward again, but slowly, plainly waiting for me to catch up. What? I asked, suspecting I already knew. I was sure I heard something, he said, with a sidelong look at me. It's been there a while, as if we were being followed, but when we stopped there was nothing. Your ears are good, didn't you hear it? Only birds calling. There can't be anyone there. We'd have seen them. Would we? Perhaps I should have ignored your arguments and accepted Eamon's escort. There are few enough of us. An ambush would be a problem. Why would there be an ambush? I asked, avoiding his gaze. I need to sneeze. Ah! It went away. More ads in 3 minutes? Okay. We're almost there. Why would they take Neve? Asked Sean. There's no reason to any of it. Why do that just after he... There was a pause. Just after he what? You're not telling me he agreed to work for you. Not exactly, said Sean carefully. But he did say he'd consider it. He considers all offers. He said he'd let me know when he'd worked out the price. I was speechless. What devious game was Bran playing? Surely my brother, the son of the despised Hugh of Harrowfield, would be the last person he would wish to do business with. Such an alliance would be fraught with danger for both of them. That had ever been seriously considered filled me with alarm. It would have been the turning point, Sean said. The one factor needed to change the course of our feud with the Britons. He could have named any price and I'd have met it. So why ruin his big chance? Is the man crazy that he would do this to my sister on a whim? He never acts on a whim. I spoke without thinking. Sean waited before he replied. Naden. There will be no ambush. Most unlikely, I should think, I said cautiously. Naden, our sister is dead, and they were seen taking her away across the marshes. There were several witnesses. Would you protect Neve's murderer by holding back your story? No, Sean. Tell me, Leodin. Tell me the truth. You're playing with matters more dangerous than you can know. But I kept my shield up and would not tell. Once, as we passed along the forest path damp with the decaying fabric of autumn leaves, I sensed a presence riding beside me, though this time I heard no fairy hoofbeats. I heard the lady's voice, low and solemn, and saw without turning my head her deep grave eyes. You acted rashly. You let them guide you again. There must be no more errors, Leodin. It did not seem an error to save my sister from a life of abuse. I was angry. Was nothing important to the fair folk but their own long schemes, which we could barely understand? Around me, my brother and his men rode on oblivious. I glanced at Sean, and back at the lady. Your brother does not hear us. I have made him deaf to this. Now listen to me. You have been very foolish. If you could see what might come of this, you would know how wrong you are. You put your child at risk. Her blue eyes were chill. You put your future at risk. What risk? I was never in danger, and I'm going back to Seven Waters. The child will be born there. Isn't that what you wanted? Maybe your sister is dead. She spoke coolly, as if this did not really signify a great deal. Drowned. You might have risked it all for nothing. She's safe, I know it. The man who took her can be trusted. Him, he's nothing. A tool, merely. His part in this is over, Leodin. There are only two things that need concern you now. You must not risk the alliance. Without the alliance, your uncle has not the strength to triumph. Without the Oonagh, he cannot win back the islands. Your foolishness nearly lost him that chance, and you must protect the child. He is our hope. No more mistakes. No more going off on your own. Do not disobey me again. Once she knows of your son, she will seek to destroy him. The boy must stay in the forest where he can be properly protected. She? Who? But the lady of the forest simply shook her head, as if the name could not be put into words, and she faded slowly until I could no longer see her. And at last we came home to Seven Waters with our terrible news. Okay, that's where we'll end for tonight. Yeah, at least the story. If you want to do songs, we can try to do songs. Yeah. But we will end there, or we will be here for a long time. Of course, Bear. You are welcome, Frost. I'm hoping her death was staged. Yeah, I guess we won't know for a while. Of course, Maddie. So, shall we do a reedy breathed song? It's always a little scratchy after I've been reading, but we can do a song if you want. It kind of sounds staged. I mean, it could be. I mean, we want to trust that it all went well, right? Keep reading until we know. Yeah, we'll be here for a long time. These chapters are very long. Very, very long. Savage Daughter or Into the West. Okay. Especially now, even though things are do. I second Into the West. Okay. I think we can manage that. I don't know if I can manage it well whilst sitting. I'd love to join your live streams whenever you're streaming. I am not going to join another Discord, but thank you. Yeah, I probably would lose my voice. I don't talk a lot, so I should probably use my voice more, but it's just not in me. You know? I'm a hermit. I basically know the lyrics, but I always bring them up anyway, because I feel like you never know when my brain will go on the fritz, you know? Does it ever happen? I talk too much. That's okay, Maddie. You can talk all you want. You're in 50 Discords? That is ridiculous. I talked for 8 hours straight the other day. That is wild. Yeah, I would definitely lose my voice. Use it when it's important. It's more impactful that way. I agree, Milu. I mean, I'll sing if I'm like doing chores and stuff. I might sing to myself, but for the most part, I'm just like sitting at the desk working in silence. Well, we had 2 votes for Into the West, so we will do Into the West. Feels like 50, scared to actually count them. Yeah, maybe it's more. Who knows? Who knows? Alright.
You just told everybody that you and I don't ever talk.
No, we talk.
But that's not, you said that we...
I said most of the time.
You've just made it sound like we have a loveless marriage.
Oh my gosh.
Where
Yeah,
we
the
never
only...
talk to each other.
I will talk to my son in Castle, obviously. But even then, not super long conversations. And I'm even brighter because this white screen. I'm gonna just shrink it a little.
You can force it to go dark.
It's okay. Cormac says hello, and Frost says hello. Hey, Nitzo.
Hello, my friends.
Thanks. Thank you for the lurk. We're just gonna sing a song and end the stream. But thank you. Thank you for the lurk. Milu also says hello.
Hello, Milu. Hello, Tyson. Hello, Frost. Hello, Nitzo. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Maddie. Hello, Kemin. Hello, Faywitch.
Got everybody. Don't make me want to go for the Twitch stream world record. Oh gosh.
And of course, Bear.
I mean, there are definitely people that do the marathon streams. They might do 12 hours or 24 hours. It's crazy.
A lot of people do, well, not a lot, but there are quite a few people who do the continuous record now, where they will let people keep adding time to the timer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I would want to do that.
Like a month and a half, I think.
Yeah, well, one of Jake Barr's buddies actually just did it for a month and a half.
Elsie's ear perks up when she hears Castle. Yeah, it's that deep baritone, right?
Hello, Estune.
Okay.
And to the bear, hello.
All right, we'll sing Into the West. Hi, Bethany also said hi. You already walked away. I'm sorry. I think he got you. A month-long stream. Oh my god, no. Lay down. your sweet and weary head. Night is falling, you have come to journey's end. Oh, he didn't get you. I'm sorry, Bethany. Bethany
Hello,
said hi.
Bethany.
Sleep now and dream of the ones who came before. It's not just drunk me saying it. Thank you, Nitso. They are calling from across the distant shore. It is a gaming chair. It's actually Everett's gaming chair until we get Castle's new one. This is Everett's old gaming chair. I hate it. It's fine to sit in, but I don't really like the look of gaming chairs. Too much anxiety. I get that. Why do you weep? What are these tears upon your face? Soon you will see. All of your fears will pass away, safe in my arms. You're only sleeping. What can you see on the horizon? Why do the white gulls call across the sea? A pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home. But all will turn to silver glass. A light on the water, all souls pass. Hope fades into the world of night, through shadows falling out of memory and time. Don't say we've come now to the end. White shores are calling. You and I will meet again, and you'll be here in my arms, just sleeping. What can you see on the horizon? Why do the white gulls call across the sea? A pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home. And all will turn to silver glass. A light on the water, gray ships pass into the west. Thank you, Yarn Art by Briar Rose for the Rose, or the Rosa. Thank you so much. And hello, Jeremy Books from Munford, Tennessee. We've got people from all over. Trying to fix your sleep schedule by getting drunk, it's probably not healthy. Just saying. Thank you, Nitso. I'm glad you enjoyed. Yeah, we had this desk actually is adjustable, which is nice, so I would recommend that. There are times I can hear it in your singing that you're struggling to get enough air when you're singing, when I'm sitting down. Yeah, I know. Tonight was not one of those times. Super lovely as always. Oh, thank you. Maybe it's improving. Of course, Frost. She also did the soundtrack for a show on Amazon Prime. Oh, okay, cool. That's very cool. I was following Patty Gertie 10 odd years ago when she had barely a following. Oh, did you, Castle? Oh, you are welcome, Faywitch.
That's you. You're the one streaming.
Oh, yeah, I'm here typing.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
No, yeah, Patty Gertie makes really, really good music. She plays the hurdy-gurdy.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Who doesn't enjoy a hurdy-gurdy?
I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what a hurdy-gurdy is.
Who doesn't know what a hurdy-gurdy is? But alright, my friends, we have reached the end. It's sad, I know. We will miss you as well. We have one helps a bit some days. I'm gonna dip out. Alright, Frost, get some rest. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you guys are enjoying Juliette Marier's stories. Yes, Esther. That's what Nitzo was saying. He was recommending her. Good night, Kemian. Carnival Row. Oh, she did really. Carnival Row. Interesting. Thank you, Teresa. Good night, my dears. Good night. Or good day, depending on where you are.
Your tavern chair camouflage fell down.
I know. It's like, are you in a gaming chair? Yep. Ah. It is correct.
Oh, and leave it to Duncan to drop in at the very last minute. Or was that from a while ago? It might be from a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
No, from a whole hour ago.
Yep. You have work in the morning? Ew. Good night, Bethany. Sleep well. We will see you guys again soon. You gotta end the stream.
Right, sorry, I forgot.
I'm just sitting here. It's okay.
I'm used to the goodbye.
He's over there manning the stream and then it doesn't do his job.
Alright.
I resemble that remark, yeah.
Alright. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night, Nitso, good night, Faywitch, good night, Milu, Bethany, everyone else that's still left on TikTok if you are around. Good night. See you again soon.